Welcome to the Writers Are People Too podcast, where you might just find that you shouldn't meet the writer of your heroes. Tonight we have with us, or rather today, it is the middle of the day, Tarick Benjamin. And you go by PIF as well, and so go ahead and tell me what that means.
Well, PIF is an acronym for Pay It Forward. Goes with you only get out what you put in. So in life, what you want to receive, you have to put it out. It's like having skin in the game, quote unquote. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's where that stems from, and that's how I live my life completely. For the most part, a lot of the times, I don't expect any reception except for maybe just positive energy on its own, or just the deed itself of being positive. It's the payback for me. It's a good feeling when you do great things. So anything else that comes from that is a bonus. But literally, paying it forward, and I think that's a saying that goes back to the beginning of time, so it's one
Awesome.
lovely words to have made a name out of.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I like the story behind that. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where you're from? What do you like to do? That kind of stuff before we get into your writing.
Um, I am a wellness advocate. I'm the most masculine feminist you're probably ever gonna meet because everybody has a mom. We all come from a woman, and I give those wonderful people, ladies, I'm talking about, the most adoration and praise and love because again, to bear fruit, to bear children, and to be in this world and to do all the wonderful things they do. I'm so big of it. And if all these people in the world, even the people that do negative things to women, everybody has a mom. Everybody. And
Hmm.
it just drives me nuts. Um, I was born in the Bronx, New York, raised in Westchester. I came to Westchester when I was in elementary school. But once you're a New York City kid, you're a New York City kid for life, no matter what. I mean, Mount Vernon, where I was raised, is not too far from the city. Maybe like 10 minutes, 20 minutes out. But you know, uh, borders are borders, and sometimes one border can, you can be in a utopia. So, um, and I'm just here to my whole mission right now, or no, mission of life, and it's always been this way. I've always felt like this pulling and this calling is to just be an advocate for human beings. Life in its abundance is so precious. Every day could be your last day, So it's about what are you leaving? Like, what are the breadcrumbs that are you leaving? It's very important, especially for the children. The
Yeah.
children of today are the people of tomorrow. um, let alone we are still, even us as adults, we are still children to somebody, So
Hmm.
we our job, you know, outside of your domesticated capacity, whatever your position is in life, is to make sure this is livable. And that's why all these taxes and the rate hikes and all that stuff, it doesn't make any sense to me because all of the stuff that's here, even the car that I'm driving or the phone that I'm holding in my hand, comes from something that is naturally grown. So it kills me. So, that because I think that the only reason why we're supposed to work is to improve the quality of life while we're here so that everybody can live in abundance. And then, because nobody truly owns anything. Everything that we have comes from the trees and the birds and the flowers and the bees. So it just kills me. So why not
Yeah.
make it as easier possible? What they say, some things are 80% mental, 20% physical. So taking care of the mental so that way the physical, no matter how harsh it may be, is that much more uh, sustainable and tolerant. So you can try to
Hmm.
make something of yourself or make a life for yourself and your family while you're here on this earth.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I have very similar goals in my own writing. Like I feel like everybody, no matter how differently we were raised or how different our beliefs are, how different we seem from each other, we are all just people trying to get through life. And I feel like art is a great way of connecting people and showing each other that we're not so different. So, how did you really get started on your creative journey? Whether it be maybe when you were younger you were doing art, or maybe you're doing music, or how did you end up being a writer eventually where you are now?
Uh, well, I'm very verbal. I'm very vocal, as you can tell. And then that basically when you take your verbal and you write it down, That's it. So it's like putting your mind on paper. I always just had views. I can remember for young as 5, I've always been this person, and even growing, and I'm just like, doing certain things, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew I just wasn't meant to be confined to the normal parameters of day to day, just get up and go work 9 to 5, punch a clock. I had to do something more. Um,
Hmm.
and then I became a dad, and then it was just like, I'm not doing enough, but I still didn't have the full on direction of what I was going to do. Like I said, I've always been, like, even taking speech classes in college, the little bit of college that I did do, it was just like this, I was right in my zone. Prior to that, I was raised in the church, and, my pastor, God rest his soul, he used to always get me to come up, and, say stuff. And it just felt good. And then also being a youth leader in my church for 2 years in a row, unanimous decision, that was another point of just like, okay, you're feeling certain things tug on you, but you still don't know. And then one day, a few years ago, mind you, this is like a big fast forward. So you're going through life, and life's hitting you. You got, you're just continue journey. And I'm in the shower, and I start reciting some words. I used to write poetry a lot. I have to be in a real good place. So I'm in there and I'm reciting some words. And then I said, as soon as I get out of the shower, I write them down. And then, I said this would make a great poem, and then I started, as I'm writing, I said this would make a great children's book. And funny or not, that wasn't the first project. The another project was a book that I was coming out with based on uh, society's demeanor towards men, mostly women towards men, based on their hardships with relationships. And I didn't like the fact that we were called dogs. So I basically think that my writing is derived from my passion to have a voice to set things straight. Because I believe that if you don't have optimism in your message, I don't care what the message is about, you're doing a disservice. So if you're just coming on one side of the spectrum and not advocating for all different minds, especially positive, it tears me up. So it's like I have to be that person, and
Yeah.
we need those type of people, especially now more than ever. As a younger man, when you look back in the history, it was like you don't know anything. The older guys, even now, there's still some old guys just still running shop. So it's like when you have a strong message and you know that it's derived from a great place, your job is to put it out there. It's imperative. Um, eh, Knowledge
Yeah.
without wisdom equals destruction. Basically,
Mm.
so it's a
Interesting.
must. It's a must. Even if it's just you being a parent to your kids and teaching them all the great lessons you learn, you have to use your voice. But if you have that gall and that gut feeling that I have to bring it to the masses, I think you have to do it. It's
Yeah,
very
no,
important.
absolutely. I think all of us as creatives, we have this drive inside of us to get what's inside of us out. It doesn't do justice to our ideas to just let them fester inside of us. We have to share them, and I think we can channel that to get wisdom out to the world in peace, like you're saying. So your book, Just Like Me, you say it's a children's book that is, quote, aimed at touching the hearts of children and nurturing their growth, end quote. So what age range is this for, and what's the style and genre? I know you mentioned poetry. Is it prose? Is it inspirational? Walk me through that.
It's a self-help motivational book. It's centered around essential workers because essential workers are the backbone of any community or any society. And far many times than not, especially now, they don't embrace that enough. Where we need more doctors, firefighters, police officers, individuals that are going to usher our community into safety and future to be more proactive with their positions, meaning like this is something that I truly feel like is for me. I'm not doing it because they have a great check. I'm not doing it because, for the uh, economical reasons more so, but I'm doing it because this is my calling. And then it also extends into the mental that you should put on when assuming those positions is very important. Because like I did spoke about before, 80% mental, 20% physical is a lot of things. And so when you're going forth and you're somebody's doctor, You want to be mentally sustained before you go ahead and operate or give advice. And if you are a police officer, especially in a community where there's a lot of children present or so on and so on, you want to be mentally prepared before you go out there and have to defend or protect, because anything can happen. And just a split second, things are life and death. So it's geared around essential workers because there's not enough attention to promote that. We're promoting the basketball players and the sports, which is all good stuff, entertainers, all good stuff. But what about the people that made sure those people were safe and got to grow up to be those wonderful people? I think those are the most important people of all. So, like I said, the book is geared towards that, and just letting a child know that no matter what ethnicity you come from, no matter what sex you are, if that's where your heart lies, follow it. Also follow your, be open to learning and so on and so forth. And just putting on, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, the strong positive values before embracing any movement whatsoever.
So in regard to these essential workers, do you have any sort of any role models in your own life that have come from these essential workers that you look up to that really give you a passion for this?
Yeah, so my grandmother, she had 6 girls and 2 boys. And those girls and boys had girls and boys, and majority of the women in my family were either nurses or doctors, or somewhere in the healthcare field. One that stands out pretty prevalent is my aunt. She was a pediatrician, um, and who also now is a minister. Uh, um, she retired her practice. She went back to school, got her ministry degree. I don't know exactly what it's called, but she preaches, and she's always been that vocal person, but now she's official, whatever. And she was my first doctor. And I would always take what she says with great substance. So I would think that she would be probably, and I hope my mom doesn't kill me because I love my mom to death. Great, great. My mom was a nurse for 30 years, another great medical provider. But my aunt, she speaks with conviction all day long,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wonderful. Um, Literally, there's times where she's spoken, and I don't think I've ever expressed this to her, but she's literally changed my life in that moment when she's expressing herself. So yeah,
Wow,
shout out to Pauline
that's cool.
Heslop, PhD.
Awesome. I love that. So in the beginning of your book, I saw that it was dedicated to your children, and I think
Yes.
that's awesome. I would love to write a book for my daughter someday. So what messages do you think that you want to directly communicate to your kids that are in this book?
Um, Stay true to you. The greatest level of all is the one you're gonna find in yourself. Be appreciative of your blessings. Happy is the man that has his own. So you can always aspire for greatness, but you will first have to appreciate the greatness that you already have. And then that's a building block. Um, if you do not, if you do not start from within, to me, everything else, it's you're basically running in place. So you have to look forward from within, whether you have, and go forward in that. And to me, the sky's the limit. Um, Especially when it's positively induced. So just trust your inner self for the most part, because you might get into stuff that naturally you don't see yourself going forward in, but because you know yourself and you are sustained by that internal voice, you'll pick up things, but you'll know, okay, this isn't for me, and then you use that to go where you necessarily would want to be, or where your skills or where your internal self is pointing. But you have to have that compass. um and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, especially children, would go towards where, hey, this is what my parent wants me to do, and it's a rough thing, because I remember one time I wanted to play the drums, um, and my mom says, "Hey, why don't you play the piano? Everybody starts with the piano." But I know that I thought the drums is an instrument, and I'm like, I thought I was making a positive decision. I felt great. I felt so embodied by it, and then it was just like, no, play the piano. It was almost like a shooting down. So you're making me feel bad about wanting to make a good decision, but and as a child, you don't see that she's getting the piano lessons for $8. You didn't know this, so they try to
Mm,
convince you, but they may not even have the greatest way of doing that. So, but as that, I remember it like night and day. I went, and I was just so enthused. Like I wanted to do something positive, and it was just like, well, do this. And I'm just like, why would you not want to push me to do what my spirit is calling me to do? You know? So I
mm,
would definitely
yeah.
invoke any child. Like if you have, stand behind your positive, no matter what, mom, dad, whoever, respectfully, but just stand behind the positivity that comes from your heart. I guess I should have said
Yeah.
that 10 minutes ago.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate that you've written a children's book. I get this undertone from a lot of, not even just authors, just people in general, that children's books are not important or something like that. And I want to push back against that because I think children's books are like the most important. Like I don't have as much time now to read as I did when I was a kid. And I think so many of the books that I read when I was a kid inform my creativity today and inform my worldview today. And like people think just because it's short and maybe there's pictures that it doesn't have as much of an influence as like a 600-page novel, but again, that's so incorrect. Like the amount of impact that books that I read when I was a kid have on me are like, it's instrumental in my life. So I want to just thank you personally for writing this book for your kids. And I actually stalked your Instagram. I stalk every author that comes on here, and I saw some pictures of you with your kids, which I think is very wholesome. And obviously this book is dedicated to your kids, and I found a couple really great quotes in it and on your website in regard to being an inspiration to your kids. So I guess my final question for you is, how can we be a good role model for our kids?
Again, true to yourself, and I want to go back a little bit what you said about stalking my page, because I'm a person. I the world we live in, they want you to conform to a socialistic vision of what you should be to be something. Um, I'm a firm believer on just being yourself wholeheartedly. So there might be some things that you see that is like, wow, well, that's very expressive, or this thing that I'm gonna be me no matter what. And that's one of my biggest missions with this is this no holds barred, wholeheartedly just being completely a complete human being, whether it's expressing myself in this way, expressing myself in that way. I do have a business page for the segregation of certain things because you want to definitely sometimes be a little bit more cautious when you are dealing with children. But uh I completely lost your question in what I was just saying. But because I wanted to touch because people get they went, oh, matter of fact, I was talking to a young lady because everybody likes wonderful ladies, and I was like, I need help promoting this book, and she says, well, did you see my page? I don't think I should be the one promoting a children's book because she shows a lot of skin or whatever the case may be. And I said, well, are you a mom or are you a sister? Are you an aunt? Like, there's nothing wrong with, to me, if you're selling yourself, that's different. We're not trying to promote that message, but every person is a parent, whether you're the person that is modeling for Sports Illustrated bikini, or whether you're the person that goes and puts on some scrubs and is doing dietary work, or whatever the case may be. You still have a voice. No matter who you are, you're going to love your child or the children that are in your life. So you should not be held to, oh, well, because I have this particular job, or because I'm me, I'm not going to love children any less. And that's a biggest misconception that we have, because children are people. And I've noticed that with my 15-year-old, when she was 2 years old,
Yeah.
I caught her. I used to try to keep her from doing adulterated things, meaning any type of gesture that was like too womanly. I'm just like, enjoy your life. So one day I caught her in the mirror with a chapstick, putting it on like it was lipstick. And I'm like, what's going on here? And she's just like, oh, I'm like, where did you get this chapstick? And she's like, my mom gave it to me. I'm just like, just so upset. But then you got to understand. And right then and there, when I'm talking to her, I seen her mom, my mom, and her mom's mom in her responses and the way she was interacting. And it hit me. I said, children are little people. They're
Yeah.
So she doesn't know exactly what's going on, but she knew when she watched her mom or her grandma put on that lipstick in the mirror when they were going to work or go to church. She felt that. And then she goes and she's trying to embody that on her own, 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells, okay, they're their own people. They have their own thoughts. They know what they want to do. You know, they live in their own little world. If you watch a kid play with their dolls or whatever the case may be, you'll see it. So you just have to take the stuff that they're doing in positive, double down on that, and then the stuff that is not going so great, you ring them in and you let them know what's what. Um, boy, again, I totally went left there for a second, but
No, you're fine. You're fine. I like tangents. It gets an insight into your mind.
can you
Well,
read it? Can you
any
restate that question one more time?
yeah, it was how can we be good role models for our kids?
Oh, well, yes. Be appropriate with conviction. You know, do what you say you're gonna do. Be intentional. Um, Loving as much as you possibly can. You have to. It's it'll get easier, but you have to make sure that whatever you're promoting towards a child is of a positive nature. So if you and your partner or you and someone else are on the downside of things, you don't want to have those kind of conversations in front of your kid. Anything that's bad, I would say you want to shelter. They're going to come across things, but you don't want to be the avenue of negativity to your child's life. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as they grow, you know, life, the birds and the bees, so on and so forth. But you want to make sure that everything you do towards your child is love induced. I promise you, because children only know what you provide to them as a parent or as a facilitator. So they're not going to, excuse me. So if you're providing love and positivity, that's what's going to groom them, you know, and then that will be what being this there. So if you're walking, you're going to have fire and brimstone coming, but if you're leading with love, you're going to persevere with that positivity. And I firmly believe there's even a study that I've come across. I can't remember the exact, you know, situation and where it exactly was taken from, but they had two groups of students. One that was nourished with lots of love and not so great food, and another group that was nourished with great food and not so much love. The kids that had a lot of love, they thrived more than the kids that had the great food and a little bit of love. So to me, that said, okay, if your mind and your body is functioning properly, no matter whatever you're putting in is going to enthuse that. Because if you're
Yeah.
not, if you're under duress and you're not getting the enthusiasm and the positivity again, your body can't do anything with whatever you're putting in. It's not going to process it great. That speaks volumes to my belief. So it's like just lead with love, and the kids are going to persevere with that positivity. In a nutshell, 10 minutes ago, like I
Awesome.
said.
Well, any final comments before we end here?
Um, I want to say I appreciate you for having me. I hope I did great. I appreciate the opportunity to just really showcase my views and also to bring forth what I'm about. Because a lot of the times, especially now, it's like to start things, because I'm still in the start, even though my book is 2 years old as far as publishing goes, but I'm still starting. So I just
Mm-hmm.
appreciate this and any platform to do so. I want all the smoke, meaning that I want anything that's positive, any type of exposure, anything that's going to bring my voice and bring the attention towards what my mission is. I'm on it. So whoever watches this, as well as yourself, I'm open for all engagements, you know, while my schedule is still open.
All right, everybody. We have Tarick, Piff, Benjamin. Thank you so much for coming on today.
I like that.